All right, hello, welcome, and good evening, traders. It's Wednesday, 10/9/2024. And I'll give you just a quick update for tonight. We'll go through the two main portfolios, our trading portfolio and our investing portfolio that we go through. So I'll give you an idea of what we're trading, what we're doing in there, how those portfolios are working. And gonna keep it short. We'll take a look at the markets briefly, and then we'll move on and give you again some ideas and a couple tips of what we're doing. So let me go ahead and share here, and I'll take myself off the screen. You can see what we're doing, but here's where we were in the markets today. So a nice update in the market. We broke out, hit a new all-time high today, so we can actually adjust this up. 5846.5 is the new high. So new high, breaking out of this trading range that we've been in now for almost 4 weeks, triggering a bullish PSAR today. And you're watching the stochastic momentum curling itself up. RSI continuing to move higher. MACD trying to reverse itself. Kind of hard to see on there, but it is. So the daily looks pretty decent, bouncing off the 21, moving higher. So things look, direction-wise, we look pretty strong. We are heading into some overhead resistance with the Bollinger Bands on the daily, but it's all good. There, the weekly continues to just look strong to the upside. We're getting closer to an overbought situation, but we can continue to move higher. I think plenty of reasons to keep moving higher. So there's ES. I want to take a quick look at the US dollar. Again, continues to power its way higher, hitting some support down here around the 100 mark, and now it's moved its way to about a 102.9. So moving a pretty good clip to the upside. US dollar is in fuego. It's on fire right now, moving off of these lows and this support level that we had in here. Really, this thing dates back all the way to, really December of last year. So this is where we saw support before. We really held that support, bounced higher on the US dollar. So that's pretty good shape. The VIX cooling off a bit the last two sessions. It's still elevated, so it's still above 20. It's at 20.86. Was down a fraction yesterday and today, but VIX looks a bit, again, on the daily, looks a bit overdone. On the weekly, we're back down, towards we're still elevated, I should say, not back down, but we're still elevated a bit here. We'll see what happens. Does the VIX continue to cool off? I don't know. We've got an election coming up. We're now less than a month away from an election. The VVIX, though, the volatility of the VIX, it ran up even more today, eased off during the session, but it's still pretty solid. So I think we can continue to see volatility increasing. Great if you're selling premium, bad if you're holding trades where you sold premium, because that premium's just not coming out. Market's moving higher, but with the increase in volatility, you're seeing a slowing of the decay of that asset, since the volatility is propping up the prices of the asset. Taking a look at bonds here on the TLT. So when you're looking at the TLT here, overall on the 20-year here, this thing has just been in a free fall since the Fed announcement. So bonds just continuing to get whacked. We saw a nice bounce yesterday, gave most of that back today at significantly oversold levels. So I think, we should hopefully see some support around here. We're just playing with this Bollinger Band. We're well below the 3 ATR. We're down to the 200-day moving average on the daily. We could still come down a little bit more and bounce, but we've broken the 21 and the 50. So bonds back to kind of their negative falling back ways. I'm still bullish on it, but this trade is not going our way, and it's the biggest pain in the neck for me. Quick look at oil. Has definitely cooled off the last couple sessions, but while oil's cooling off, oil volatility remains pretty doggone elevated. Now, cooled off a little today, but oil volatility here, it's still pretty elevated. So big volatility on the oil, counteracting this little bit of a pullback that we've seen. But momentum right now, at least on the daily, may be overdone, but we got this double bottom in. maybe we hit the top and we're going to roll over. We'll see. But the weekly chart still looks like it's just getting going to the upside on oil. So what do you believe? Do you believe the charts? Do you believe the news? What are you looking at out there? You got tensions in the Middle East. You got potentially demand in China, not that strong. They chucked a bunch of stimulus in. Well, that seems to have jacked things up temporarily. And now that stimulus is kind of failing on the stock side. But it's going to take some time for the stimulus to get into the system. So we could see, again, increased demand for oil. Bonds, ZB, we've already covered this. Now, there's a lot of lines on this chart for you. I get it. But there's a reason for that. We were really doing some studying of this thing yesterday with the members. So I just want to jump in here. When you look at the fib retracement, we're right at the 50. I mean, we're just above the 50. We're right at the 200-day. As I mentioned before, there's two support areas in here, previous pivot level supports that we're at. We're kind of dancing around with one above the other one. So a lot of potential support right in here. Doesn't mean we can't go down further. The 618, if we break the 200, would be the next potential area to look for on the fibs. Again, just terrible looking, bonds as the yields are rising. Just so, to me, ridiculous, overdone to the downside. Let's see if they start to squeeze out the weak hands. One thing I did not look at on oil, and I would have to look at trading view charts on this. So maybe we can do that before the end, but I want to keep this really, really short today for you. But if we look at the charts, let me see if I can get it pulled up quickly. I wasn't planning on it, so it really wasn't set for it, but let's see if we can get this chart up here. Yeah. So I want to look at bonds, and I really want to look at the volume on bonds. And the volume on bonds has been declining a bit as well. So this is, hopefully I'm sharing the right thing with you. Let's just double check what we're sharing. I think we got the right thing up. So here's bonds. You've had this big sell-off, good volume here, weaker, about the same today. So downward, oversold levels near some support areas, bottom of the Bollinger Band. Technically we broke the 3 ATR on the Tasty platform, not here on TradingView. But we'll see how, do we run out of sellers at any point here, or on the weekly, do we have just more downside to go on bonds? So we're going to keep watching where things are on bonds. Still bullish overall, longer term. It's just been a poor trade recently, and that's certainly affecting our accounts. Gold, nothing to trade. It's rolling over. Let me switch back to toss with you. But gold rolling over here on the daily. Momentum is all down, overbought and rolling over. So how far down does gold go? I don't know. But for me, it's no trade right now. If we're looking at copper, same type of thing. Copper, we're technically on the weekly. We had a series of lower highs, lower lows, and then we reversed into the higher high, higher lows. So we're really still in that higher high, higher low period, but we're definitely selling off on copper after the big bump from the China piece. I think it's just hopefully back to where it was. But again, there's no real trade for me on copper yet. Don't like anything. Silver, it's also falling as the China stimulus seems to be running its course a little bit. Again, I don't think it's over, but I think it was just overblown. Nothing to trade there. The Aussie dollar, I do like this as a potential strangle opportunity in here. I'd like to see it firm up a bit. The dollar's rising. This is weakening. Totally makes sense in here. Now I think it's starting to get to an oversold-ish area on this pullback. So I like the strangle opportunities on 6A. And then on RTY, kind of a nothing burger day today. I don't think it's a bad sign. I think we have more upside potential coming, and we'll continue to monitor this thing. I'm going to play a couple different strategies on this moving forward. All right, so there's where we are on the futures, and I don't really want to get into too many stock opportunities here, but let's see which one is which. This is the daily. Looking at some of these opportunities in here, I think Applied Materials is a good longer term for our investing portfolio. I think Chevron, CVX, also not a bad entry point for the long-term investing portfolio. Google, we've been talking about it. I think this is a good area for Google. Definite weakness on the daily. This thing's not looking like any of the other ones out there. If you believe in Google for the long term, you're getting an opportunity to get in here. I think Micron, also another opportunity to get in there. I think Oxy, another opportunity to get in here. These are all setting up really, really well. Qualcomm, I think is a fantastic opportunity to get in. Schwab, another good opportunity to get in if you want to get into some of the financials. Snow, not a high quality name in my opinion, but this thing looks like a pretty good, at least a trade, maybe not an investment, but a trade opportunity. And Zscaler also giving you a little bit of a trade. It's not a top quality name for me on those. And then as far as trading goes in the active trading service, looking at a couple different trade opportunities, I think Apple looks very interesting here, heading up to a potentially a breakout to the upside. I think Adobe on this big sell-off since the earnings. I think you're finding maybe some basing out here. Could have a little bit more to go, so not a good opportunity yet. I think Affirm here is looking really, really nice. I think Amgen here is looking pretty good as a trade opportunity, bouncing off the 21 on the weekly. So good trade opportunities here. Again, put credit spreads is my preferred method of trading on these. Amazon, I think there's a potential good put credit spread opportunity. Chipotle, another good put credit spread opportunity. We're already in that. Costco, we got in yesterday with all the members, and we were out today with a 40% gain in this trade in one day. I think there's more to go to the upside. I think Costco can take out and go to new highs. We'll be looking at potentially another trade in this name. IWM, just still in this apex of this symmetrical triangle. I think it's still a good opportunity. The bet would be to the upside. We tried to break out today, couldn't quite do it. We'll see if tomorrow is the day. I am going to play an overnight 1 DTE on IWM. J&J, not a bad trade opportunity for a put credit spread. KRE, the regional banks, not a bad opportunity for a put credit spread. Merck, not a bad opportunity. Again, low risk, high reward. I like these stocks that are oversold and looking to bounce. Overall, I don't think it's a bad put credit spread opportunity. One of my favorite indicators is this stochastic momentum index. I love it when it's oversold under the -40 and starting to curl up and moving back up through that 40. I think Microsoft is another one starting to look like a good opportunity for put credit spread. You've got also, and I'm going to skip that one and go to healthcare here. Healthcare might be an interesting play in here if the markets start to weaken at all. So there you go, a bunch of plays. Let's take a look at the accounts really quickly here with you. And here is the trade tracker for the main account. We've had a good couple days or so in here. So 1586, 2320 yesterday, and another 1391 today. What are we trading in this account? Well, right now in the last, since really the beginning of the month, we closed a bond call, naked call. We closed a 6A, an Aussie dollar strangle for $1,000. We took a loss on a hedge, which is expected. So the only losses recently have been hedges. We also had a TLT, a covered call that we have on our longer shares that came off as a winner. There's $210. Yesterday, $2,320 on an oil naked put that we had remaining on a 112. And then today, we took off some calls of one of our ZB naked calls that we had put on. We're going to continue to write naked calls on bonds, covered calls on bonds. So we're chunking in money while we wait for bonds to kind of regain their footing. So there's where we are overall, doing pretty nicely. Our net lick is down, and the reason the net lick is down is primarily it's bonds. It's all bonds really weighing on things. Yeah, some of our oil trades are down a little bit still. We've got a strangle that's down, but it's still just hanging in there. It's right in the middle of the range. It's all volatility, which is back up to about 87 or so on the IVR. So that's where we are on the main trading account. Now, investing account, a little bit different. This thing, we have been booking some pretty steady gains over the last week or so. 743 last Friday, 234. Okay. And then 707 today. What are we trading? So you can get a sense of where things are overall. And we've really got some distributions from our TMF shares, our Bill shares, our SVOL shares. So right there's about $1,000 worth of distributions on those. We did close out a covered call for a loss on XLE because it was a roll. So we booked the loss and now we have it running. But XLE is up overall, so that's totally fine with us. We closed out a covered call on our TMF shares that we own for a win. We closed out naked puts at 91% today, 91% winner on NVIDIA. And we also closed a Costco that put spread from yesterday. So one day for almost 40% gain in one day. And then we also did a naked put on a 0 DTE QQQ this morning. We didn't do much because I was actually planning that if we got it signed, I would technically wheel this thing a bit out with at the money shares. We did not. We took basically the full winner. We sold it for 49, got out for $1. So nice winners overall. So this account continues to crank. We have made a couple more deposits in this, so we did put 30 grand more into it today, but we are still up 3 grand from yesterday anyway when you take that 30 grand out. So really moving higher on this account. I am putting more money into it. I do have other investment accounts and just reallocating some funds here so I can keep trades going for you guys so you can see what we're doing overall. So I hope this was helpful. Short update, a bunch of trade opportunities for you out there. Stay safe, stay trading. Make sure you got your trading account. Make sure you got your investing account. Make sure you understand your risk. If you have not seen the video that Tony from Mexico, Tony Rehan, and I did yesterday, go check that out down below in the YouTube channel. You can also check it out on Tony's YouTube channel as well. Follow along with what we're doing. Great discussion on risk, how to allocate your risk, how to measure your risk, and then really how to think about risk. If you haven't watched that, game changer, make sure you do that. Have a great evening. Take care, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.